I want to speak about the cornet. I always speak about my instruments, and I want to say why I prefer the cornet. I like it better than the trumpet. I also like the flugelhorn a great deal. I haven't been having... I don't have a good flugelhorn. I'm going to get one better than the one I got. But there are some things about the instrument, about the cornet, that I like. First of all, cornet are more compact. This is the most compact. It has a shepherd crook. It's called shepherd crook here. There's another one called American one with a longer, doesn't have a shepherd crook, so the bell is a little bit further from my mouth. But anyway, they are shorter than a trumpet. They have a sound that I like. The sound of a cornet with a V-shaped mouthpiece, a specific mouthpiece that has a specific shape, like a V and not like a C, as a mellow sound, but it still retains something of the brightness of a trumpet, and that positions the cornet, I say, not really halfway towards the flugelhorn, but in a good position to be quite neutral. I mean, when I play the cornet, I find that the sound is new. I don't feel excessive brightness, I don't feel excessive softness or mellowness. So basically, could be an all-purpose instrument. When I try to play Dixieland, this instrument is perfect for this bouncing tone. The cornet has a response like this. I don't know how to put it. It is magical. I mean, if you listen to Big Spiderberg, you can immediately tell that the cornet has this pastel sound. It's soft but quite assertive. Another thing, quite handy to use your mute or your hand, your plunger or your hand for effects. When you stop, is a very convenient, comfortable instrument. I like the fact that you can choose two different styles of cornet. This and the American one. I have the American one. And cornet have different history. They are the descendants of the postal horn. So they were used for signals. Even the trumpet was, but trumpet entered classical music quite early. Cornets were not used for classical music. There is something by Mozart with an effect with the ancestor of the cornet. The postal horn has a round shape, but more or less the tubing produces the same kind of sound. They say that it's used when it's it's played by horn player, but really, spite of the corneta, which means basically small horn, doesn't have the typical horn mouthpiece. I have a horn, a French horn, very very bad French horn. You see? French horn, cornet. And this is the trumpet. So very thin, a little bit wider, much wider. I think that cornets have been victims of the trumpet. I mean, just a change, like the recorder died out when people started to use the traversiere kind of baroque flute. Every time the change implies a change, a different aesthetics, and they go from very reserved sounds, very soft sounds, towards more in your face sound. And trumpet is in your face. It depends also on the style you play, your personal style. If you're more intimate, how to put it, you have a more reserved way of playing, you don't go for a lot of energy and muscle, but you go towards nuances. I think cornet is the way to go. In the past there was not amplification, so in the 30s and 20s people could get more sound for the money. I mean, more sound with the same effort with a trumpet. You can push the trumpet and more. I think you can push it more and have a louder sound, a brighter sound. So if you have this in your, I can immediately tell the difference. Basically, if I've been playing the cornet for days, I take the trumpet and this is the same. Yes, but I find cornets easier to play, easier to grasp, to hold, and they have a more neutral sound. When I hear modern music, when I hear the instrument I like the most is the flugelhorn. There is a problem with the flugelhorn, at least for me. High-pitched notes are quite difficult and sometimes not really in tune. I found the cornet easier to play fast and technical. The instrument responds in a way that makes playing easier. That's why sometimes I stop playing the cornet and I play the trumpet in order to I should play the trumpet more because the cornets come easy to me, okay? So there is a difference. It's not many times you can play on the cornet what you can play on the trumpet. But in the long run you settle for one instrument. I mean the one you like the most, the one you pick up and go, the go-to instrument. I I sometimes don't use the trumpet because I have this, and I put my cornet and trumpet here, and I don't have one for the time being for the flugelhorn, so I have to go there, open the case and play. So I'm quite a lazy person. So why do I always play about the cornet and not about the flugelhorn? Because everybody knows. I mean, in a way, a flugelhorn, an instrument, is more used for different reasons. One of the reasons why trumpet player prefer the flugelhorn, because flugelhorn is very different. So if you play a gig and you play the trumpet and the flugelhorn, you don't have a huge difference. Okay? But the flugelhorn is visually and sonically very different from a trumpet. If you play the cornet, you can play the trumpet, but the response is different. And if you have different response, basically we play instruments that are to us like old shoes. Instruments that both the real physical instruments and the idea, I mean, each and every instrument of that category. I mean, I have a cornet that I've been playing a lot, and generally I've been playing a lot the cornet, so I find myself more at ease playing the cornet. I don't play because it's, you know, trendy, or the opposite is so strange. No, I really like the cornet. I really like, for more than one reason. But I also like flugelhorns a lot, really. And when it comes to bass, lower octave instrument, the instrument closest to a cornet is what in England called baritone horn, in America called tenor horn. It's quite complicated. I mean, one octave lower, because the instrument in the middle is an alto, that is called alto, but in England they call it tenor, and they call the tenor horn, they call it baritone. Tenor horn is like a cornet one octave lower. It's not as thick and soft like a euphonium. Euphonium basically is like a flugelhorn one octave lower. There is another instrument called trumpet, that is something in the middle between a trumpet and a flugelhorn. So basically that means that the cornet is not really in the middle in this continuum from cylindrical to conical. Cornets are more on the cylindrical. If you use a mouthpiece that has a C cup and not a V cup, so the inside is not like this but it's like this, you can get a quite trumpety sound. A cornet, the American style cornet, has a little bit more of a trumpet sound. Basically, you can get all the instruments. You can get some cornets that are very, very trumpet-like, and other cornets that are more on the flugelhorn side. Okay, you are closest to flugelhorn than the other cornets. But all in all, I'd say cornets are closer to a trumpet than to a flugelhorn. So I guess this trumpet invented by Art Farmer, I mean he worked with those people who actually made the instrument, is in the middle. I'd like to have an instrument like this. I'd like it a lot, but it's not something you can buy very easily second hand. On the other hand, flugelhorns, I like. One of my favorite brass instruments player is Clark Terry, and he played a lot of flugelhorn. The only basically specialist, I mean he played the whole time, is Chuck Mangione. Art Farmer used to play it a lot. Many people, I mean Chet Baker played quite a lot of flugelhorn, but he played in a way that it was not so different, because even when he played the trumpet, he had a kind of velvety sound for a trumpet. So sometimes you have a cornet, but your style is the way you blow, make it almost never, it will never sound like a trumpet, but if you have a certain way of playing, it will sound more like a trumpet. And the way Chet Baker played the trumpet was, for the most part, because he changed style. When he played with Jerry Mulligan, Lions for Lions and The Lady's a Tramp, he had one of the most beautiful trumpet sound. I mean, it was not the best, it was not Clifford Brown, it was not Miles Davis, but he had a sound that nobody had, and he had a style, a very lyrical style. He is in line with those people who played the trumpet in a lyrical way, like Biggs Beiderbecke. He was the quintessential cool, even if he played arbop, but he was a cool jazz player. There were not many trumpets player in cool jazz. Cool jazz is more saxophone. Other than that, I'm gonna get a C-tune trumpet, very cheap one by Thomann, and I'm just curious. I have a C trombone, it's very handy to read music. They have a brighter tone, so I'm gonna get a trumpet that is even brighter. They say this, no, I don't know, I think C has a clearer sound than B flat. I have no problem playing a C tune instruments. I didn't have any problem with the trombone. So some people say, how can you play the trumpet and the trombone? How can I speak English and Italian? It's just something you have to do every day. I have time on my hands, and so I do my homework on the trumpet, and I do my homework on the trombone, or whatever instrument is 1 octave lower, except for the one with a F attachment that has a bigger mouthpiece. All the other instruments, flute, baritone horn, and they have the same shank, so the same, more or less, mouthpiece. This is what I wanted to say about, because this information is not available to everybody. I mean, most of the videos see, they don't really examine the differences between a cornet, a trumpet, and a flugelhorn. If I had to play just one, maybe I'd play the flugelhorn. In spite of the fact you don't see many videos, because I don't have a good one. But the one I have made me understand I like the instrument. Goodbye.